It's like working with a Dalmatian, you know? That's you.
Dalmatians are fireman dogs, for the record.
Do you... How many Dalmatians have used the hose? Like, do you think, like... Because dogs can get smart, right? Dogs can get
Dogs can get smart. That's,
right.
Yep.
That's
correct.
Gandhi said that, I believe.
Yep, that's true.
I bet a dog had to have run over during the fire, seen, like, you know, all of his firemen friends using this hose, run over, pick up the hose, and bring it over, and... It had to have happened.
I like to think they operate the crane. You know, because, like, obviously, we don't want a dog in a dangerous situation. Because
so put him in the crane.
We love dogs. Yeah, so have them be a crane operator.
Safest position the dog can be in.
Left, right, up, down? Like, there's not a lot of buttons.
He's got a mouth.
Just give him a little, like, arcade stick.
Hey, that's video game relating. Hello, and welcome back to the Side Escape Gaming Podcast, episode 144. I'm your host, Jake Burke, and I am joined just by Ted today.
Just by me.
Just by you. Another bro show. Cheers.
Another bro show. Cheers.
What are you drinking? Corona.
My baseball-sized Corona, because we still have drinks from the Christmas party.
I love it. As you should.
We're down to the final beers, which are oversized tall boys and Budweiser Limeritas.
And it's baseball season.
And it is baseball season.
What's your biggest baseball take of the year, Ted? Give me like your one biggest baseball take for the 2024 baseball season.
My biggest take?
Yeah, what's your biggest take?
Shohei Ohtani's going down.
Whoa, you think he's guilty?
Yeah. But paradoxically, Las Vegas is going up.
It's going up. I've gotten so deep into the Shohei Ohtani news, it's like gross. Like I have an obsession. I watch everything I can. I'm reading all the articles. Any new evidence dropping. It's wild. It's a weird story.
Is there new evidence? I get a news article every day that's like, he stands by what he said yesterday.
No, but like the story's not consistent, and it's just funky. If it smells like poop, there's probably poop. Okay. But I don't know. I don't think it's. I like to believe that he just paid off some bets for the guy, but he can't do that either, and that's still bad.
I hope there's a deep Yakuza conspiracy.
Damn, it goes all the way to the top.
And like yeah, exactly. Like he's been an agent for
the whole time.
The whole time. Like he doesn't know it. You know, like he's just a good, honest baseball player, but like secretly, organizations have been profiting off of him for years, and it's all going to come to light.
Well, they kind of are still. Ted, enough about Shohei Ohtani, because this is the Side Escape Gaming Podcast, episode 144, where once a week we Discord over 500 miles, talking about a gaming-related topic, what games we are playing. And this week we're talking about kind of a plethora of things that were announced, opinions. Yeah. We're just bullshitting around.
We're just doing a stuff episode.
Yeah, we're doing a stuff episode.
Like the front page of IGN.com. We're just throwing stuff out there.
Throwing stuff out there. What are we sponsored by today? You'll see at the top page. Don't worry. It's right there. All 4 of our main bubbles sponsored. Bugs the hell out of me. They had a whole thing about Madden Web where like all 4 were like Madden Web things. I'm like, ooh, you guys took a check to put up Madden Web.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ted, we got kind of 2 things. Do you want to talk about the current of the current news?
Yeah, let's start with the current of the current.
All right. I feel like we're going to have your opinions on this. I feel like you're going to have opinions. Also because on last week's show, you famously said, it's amazing the news bullshit that gets put out. Someone could just say a source knows about this Marvel 6-on-6 game and just we all believe it. So Marvel Rivals was announced today, which is a 6-on-6.
I stand by what I said.
I agree.
For the record.
I think your sentiment was right.
I followed this news from the beginning.
Wow. From the first Forbes article or whatever it was?
No, before that, from the streamer.
Oh, yeah. He talked about it first. So 6-on-6 co-op shooter game. Very much in the vein of Overwatch. It definitely looks like an Overwatch.
PvP though, right?
Yeah, PvP. Yeah. Sorry. But co-op in it's very team-based and you're doing synergy abilities.
Team-based hero shooter is what we know.
Third person. It looks very similar to Overwatch in that all kind of characters are pushing in the same direction on converging in one area. There was kind of rumors that it was going to be like a Valorant-esque thing. It doesn't look anything like a Valorant kind of game. It very much looks like Overwatch. Yeah.
I can debunk that. So the history of this, and part of this episode is going to be Ted bitches about video game news.
I love it.
All of this comes out Monday from a website called The Streamer, which is spelled like STRMR or something like that. Like it's the worst.
No, Valve suck.
And so they claim that NetEase, they have an anonymous source claiming that NetEase is making a mobile game / computer game that is Marvel 6-on-6. And they say that it's going to look like Valorant. It's going to have the aesthetic of Valorant.
And I would agree that it does.
Yeah, it's like, what does that exactly that mean? It's like kind of cartoony, a little exaggerated.
A little cell shaded.
Not realistic. But that comes out Monday. And then Tuesday, the Forbes article, which is a more reputable news site, comes out basically regurgitating the same thing, except in their like sources, all they say is just like, well, the streamer said it. Therefore,
well, because they already probably knew it. They already probably had a source
they must have, but they
they
sourced the streamer as being their only source, and the streamer got it from a guy on Twitter. So
that's how it works.
So that's but
hey, but it was real news.
Today, as of recording, it has officially been. There's a Steam page up. You can wishlist it.
Yep.
I don't think there is a release date.
No, so it goes into alpha, I believe, this April, April or May. Excuse me, I want to confirm that. I'll find that in a second. But so it's by NetEase and Marvel Games. NetEase has a lot of mobile kind of
NetEase. They do a lot of stuff.
Games.
Well, so they do a lot of mobile games. They were famously behind Diablo Immortal.
Yep.
They also do a lot of games relating to China.
They did Diablo Immortal.
Yes, they did.
Oh.
With Blizzard's
so just like
direction.
Just like this. Yeah.
So they have done a lot of games around the periphery, kind of in the mobile space, in the Chinese space. But they very much have been trying to break into more AAA games. I don't have a list of what they've created, but they have made some like actual video games, not just mobile games.
Okay.
This does seem to be a pretty large break for them. And as far as we know, officially speaking, this is not a mobile game. That is still unconfirmed.
So, yes. So it is a free-to-play game, and it's coming to PC. We know that for sure. The alpha is in May. It's a closed alpha test in May. Right. It does have so it doesn't have any dates on it, but the Marvel logo at the bottom does have a 2024 date.
Yep. So
they're, I would assume, trying to get this game out in 2024. This would be the year to do it, I would believe, too, because it's going to get a little quiet. So, interesting kind of game. The trailer is whatever. It's interesting. You kind of get some vibes of like about half the roster of characters. The roster, I think, is pretty cool. We'll talk about that in a minute. But then it looked like one of the new things that this game is doing that Overwatch doesn't do is synergy abilities. So that basically Iron Man and Bruce Banner Hulk will link up, trigger some sort of synchronon ability, and then they will initiate some big attack or some big push or something onto the team. So that does look like that's the newer mechanic that this game is introducing.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, because this is featured in every Avengers video game, is it going to have Iron Man shooting a blast off of Captain America's shield? Have we seen that yet?
We didn't see that yet. I also don't think Captain America's in this game yet. Your roster for this game, which I think is pretty interesting, are the following. I believe there's 19 characters. Yep, 19 heroes and villains. Rocket Raccoon, Star-Lord, Black Panther, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, Namor, Magneto, Magic, Storm, Penny Parker, Luna Snow, which, as a comic book nerd, I've never heard of this character in my life. And I looked it up. She's from a video game, like a Marvel game, that now she's in the comics. So she's like an actual... Like,
is she the one that turns into like a polar bear?
That's what it looked like, yeah.
Or like a hawk?
Yeah.
There was a Marvel Snap card that
doing
did that.
some ice magic stuff. Okay. Loki, Bruce Banner the Hulk. And Bruce Banner does start out as Bruce Banner with a gun, which I thought was pretty cool. That was kind of fun.
That's so dumb.
He's got like a laser gun. Well, everybody's shooting each other. Spider-Man's shooting people, okay? Spider-Man's in this game. Groot, Mantis, Punisher, Magneto. And then there is a girl version of Galactus, like in a cutscene. And people are confused about what that means as well. The story is about Doctor Doom trying to do something nefarious. And it sounds like each season will continue that kind of narrative, whatever that means.
Interesting. Okay.
So those are your 19 characters. They all look like they are very different. Loki basically latched on to Black Panther and was like, your powers are mine. And then he became a Black Panther. So like Loki's like a clone character, which is kind of interesting.
Like a Shang Tsung-esque character from Mortal Kombat.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Just like that.
He copies a random fighter.
Oh, yeah, then exactly that. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So this is your Marvel Rivals game, Ted. It's free to play. What do you think about this? What are your thoughts? I'm curious.
I think it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, you might be kind of weirded out of like a third-person shooter Marvel game seems kind of weird, but like if you take a moment to think about Overwatch, like a lot of these characters and a lot of these abilities translate very well. I could very much see like a Doctor Strange throwing up a shield with his hands that like blocks bullets, right?
He was doing like portals where people were like, he was like doing a portal here and then like at the spawn and people were spawning and jumping through the portal.
Totally.
Cool.
Yeah, I could totally see this being a mix of like generic characters with guns, like Rocket Raccoon, like Punisher, and then more support type characters who are kind of doing, well, like the support role of Overwatch, healing, like replenishment, mobility, like you said, with portals. I know he's not listed as a character, but I could totally see Ghost Rider being in this game who like throws out a chain to like hook people back in.
Yeah, I'm sure that will come.
Like makes complete sense.
Yep.
So I think it's cool. And I also think that I'm very interested to see how this game is received because Overwatch is not in a very good place right now. A lot of people are just, I think at this point, upset at Overwatch 2 and it being promised. Well, we pretty much got nothing that Overwatch 2 was promised.
You didn't play the whole campaign mode, Ted? You didn't love that?
I did not play the whole campaign mode.
Oh, dude, it was crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah, the post-credit scene for Overwatch 3 is nuts.
Yeah, there's not a lot there in Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
And I know kind of a lot of people have been complaining for years that the esports scene from the Overwatch and Overwatch 2 has kind of stagnated. Mm-hmm. The Overwatch League folded. So I think it's the right time for something kind of fresh. And I think the Marvel license will take it very far.
Yeah, so I think that's what's interesting about this game compared to, I'll use like Valorant and Overwatch kind of in this sense. I don't play Counter-Strike or anything, but these hero shooters is, as an outsider, like I was really into Valorant during COVID. Like 2020, I played a lot of Valorant. You were a part of that. Mm-hmm. Loved it. Then couldn't really care after that fun time period, which is fine. Yep. That's what games do. But like I always see Valorant announces a new character. Well, Valorant announcing a new original character for their game that I no longer play doesn't move the needle for me. It doesn't make me go, ooh, there's new characters. Let me go relearn all these abilities. But you have Marvel. And now when Captain America comes into this game, if I'm not playing it and I'm a big Captain America fan, that changes things. I know this character. I'm in. Overwatch, I think, has a similar problem of like all these new heroes. I don't care about if it wasn't in the original game because I never played that far and it never drew me in, the fact that they have a hamster that can swing around like a ball. You know, so like I think that's what's really interesting with this game, of the using the IP as a way to prolong the life cycle of a game that has a life cycle. Like Valorant, the meta changes all the time and people love it still. It's still a very popular game. So imagine attaching this license. I think it's perfect. So business-wise, awesome.
Yep.
Hopefully
I can't wait till they're starting year 4 of Marvel Rivals, and you're going to be telling me things like, "Dude, Nomad's getting in this game." And I'm like, I don't know who Nomad is. You're like, you'll be like, Captain America's found son? You don't know? And
you don't know him. But what I think about what's interesting with this roster in particular is that it's not like it doesn't use every Marvel hero, like big Marvel hero right away. Like Wolverine, Deadpool, Captain America, like you're Captain Marvel, like you're missing these like big names. All of the Fantastic Four is noticeably absent, which I think is really interesting. Because they have a movie coming out. Same with Bucky Barnes as Winter Soldier. He will they're going to tie into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They're going to really start. I think that's kind of what's kind of fun about this idea.
Yeah, if I could absolutely see a world in which Marvel is saying like they have a list of their movies coming out.
Yeah.
With characters like Deadpool, with Wolverine, Fantastic Four, etc. And they're saying like, okay, when Deadpool launches, which I don't think the timing of this is going to work out, but like pretend.
No, but yeah.
When Deadpool launches, we will announce Deadpool the character along with it. That makes complete sense.
In looking at the roster and knowing what MCU movies are kind of upcoming, it looks like that could kind of co-align eventually. So I think Blade also not being here is like a big kind of, there's going to be a big Blade push in 2 years on so like I think that's what's kind of interesting about this game and this kind of idea of using this IP.
I mean, honestly, we could really get into the weeds and be like, well, like, I wonder, does PlayStation have some kind of exclusivity with Wolverine? Is he not allowed? Is he currently not allowed?
Well, we
obviously don't know, but
But
kinda
the
find out.
Spider-Man deal is kind of like Spider-Man's only allowed to appear in a game if he's a supporting character. And so far, all of the like appearances of Spider-Man since the Sony game have all been voiced by Yuri Lowenthal from the actual Spider-Man PS4 and 5 games. So
okay.
yeah, so I think
but Spider-Man is a character in this game, right?
yes, yeah, and he's been in Marvel
Okay.
Sons. He was in Marvel Sons as
Right.
that was also Yuri Lowenthal again.
Okay.
As kind of that almost Insomniac.
So
Spider-Man.
what do you mean when you said supporting character?
Like so Spider-Man can only Insomniac Sony can develop Spider-Man games.
Right, and main character being Spider-Man.
Yes, but
gotcha, okay.
Spider-Man can be a supporting character in other Marvel games.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and that was kind of worked out, I think, with the Avengers deal of how like they got him to that. So, yeah.
Okay.
Weird shit.
But yeah, I could totally see a world in which Marvel's, spinning a lot of plates here of like we can't do Blade because there's a Blade video game coming out or a Blade movie coming out. Maybe.
Hopefully.
I hope Wesley Snipes returns to be in a video game.
God, yeah. Could you imagine if he voices Blade in this game? That'd be amazing.
I'd buy it.
I've never seen the Blade movies, Ted. I feel like I need to.
Oh, you should. If you tell Eric about that, if you tell my roommate, he'll sit you down and watch him.
Big Blade fan?
We love Blade.
Oh,
we love
good.
Blade in this household.
All right. Next time I'm up, I'll watch Blade.
Let me tell you, they're not good movies.
No, of course not.
But they're great movies. No, my only other thing with Marvel Rivals is I really hope they do a good job of understanding how each Marvel character can play into what Overwatch has turned the team hero shooter into. We'll leave Team Fortress 2 in the past because obviously that's a very old game, and a few other competitors have popped up to kind of fight Overwatch. We have Paladins. There was that Gundam themed team hero shooter, and one thing that game I feel did wrong is that just there wasn't a lot of diversity character to character. All the Gundams kind of played similarly, and I'm hoping that they don't do that with this game where like everybody's going to have a generic ranged auto attack. I hope they don't do that. I would love to see characters being like, this is very much a supporting character. They're not going to be able to 1v1 the Punisher, who's clearly going to have a gun and will probably have an auto aim feature just like Soldier 76.
Yeah. I'm curious about that too. It did look like Black Panther was like purely up close. So we'll kind of see. I'm curious about that, kind of how these characters play. Few notes that I thought were kind of cool just from the trailer. Destructible environments were all throughout the trailer. Opposed to just these synergy abilities, there was also like fun little interactions. Like if you were playing as Rocket Raccoon and you have a friend as Groot, you can run and hop on Groot and ride and like become like he's your tank basically. And so I thought that was kind of cool. I'm intrigued by this. Like I said, I like Overwatch. I like Valorant. And I think attaching it to an IP that I enjoy, and there's a ton of characters that do a ton of different things that can come into this man's storm in this game would be so cool. Put like fog down, and now you can't see. Like there's some really cool abilities that we can get to. That I'm excited to see if this game is successful. I don't know this developer, so I don't know if like a lot of these games can be gotcha crap games.
I was going to say NetEase can be very capital M mobile, but I actually weirdly enough believe in them.
I believe in this project right now too.
Yeah, they have shown themselves to make very good video games, even under the hood. Even like if you look past a lot of the crappy free to play aspects, and they do a really good job of like they provide all of Blizzard's games in China until that deal fell through. Like they are very a very stout developer. I could totally see them taking on a larger project and succeeding.
Yeah, and I wonder too, like with this, like how many characters do I get right away? Do I get to choose them? Do I only get Iron Man and I got to pay $5 per all the other characters? Like, what does that system look like? Because Valorant's system was.
I don't even think you're going to be able to buy all the characters. I think it's going to be the Fortnite system of like you're going to have to wait for that rotating store to come through.
No, I don't know. I don't think that's for an Overwatch game. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way.
I am. You think optimistic?
That, like,
I'm optimistic about NetEase making this game. I'm not optimistic about some of the free to play bullshit that we could see.
But you will think like sorry, that Doctor Strange is available week 1, and I get him, and you're on vacation, so you can't. You come
Yep.
back and you can no longer get Doctor Strange for the next like 12 weeks.
It's a free-to-play game.
I think that if they do that, the game doesn't have legs.
Yeah.
So
I
that's curious.
very much agree with you. I am of the belief, especially with these team games, I mean, MOBAs, team shooters, like you need access to these characters. I think if we live in a world where, you know, for example, like the Riot League of Legends problem where the newest character is usually the most broken.
Yep.
For the first 2 weeks, and then they nerf him at around the same time that somebody else comes out.
Sure.
And there's a group of people who are consistently buying this week's new character and doing pretty well because this character is new and kind of broken.
Yeah.
I could totally see that being a concern in this game.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, the balancing I think will be a big thing of this too.
Yeah.
All right, enough about Marvel, Ted. I want you to tell me about Helldivers.
Sorry, NetEase Games has made a lot.
Wow,
Okay,
we just Ted went into a whole other universe for a second right there.
Yeah, I was scrolling through their Wikipedia, their like gamography, and it's extensive.
Extensive.
Extensive, and I don't recognize
And underwhelming.
Race Master, Tom and Jerry Chase.
It's all a mobile game like you press a button and Tom and Jerry jump.
Where winds meet. Project Bloodstrike.
There, that's a good name.
Project Extreme. Anyway, so Helldivers.
Sorry, Ted. Before
2.
enough about Helldivers 2 really quick for a second.
Okay.
You know this?
Okay,
you know this game, Project Unicorn Overlord. You heard about this?
Yeah.
Apparently it's
Unicorn
awesome.
Overload.
Apparently it's awesome.
I've watched a lot of videos of it. It's just not for me. Have you seen it?
Yeah. I have the hiccups.
It's like okay. It's like a very strategy. It's a strategy RPG, but it has everything to do with like your character or your team composition.
Yeah.
Where like it's kind of an auto battler. Like the strategy part's not really there. Did you ever play Dragon Age Origins? This is we're on a tangent here.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Dragon Age Origins. If you ever played that game had a really weird system where you could give your computer
Like commands.
AI teammates the commands. Where like priority 1 is like, you know, melee attack. If melee attack is unavailable, ranged attack. You know, if you know, character controlled by the user is over lower 50% health, heal main user.
Yeah.
It was this very like logic driven system. And Unicorn Overload takes that to an absolutely extreme degree where you are building an entire team that's going to auto battle eventually, but you are giving them the commands ahead of time of like, if tank is low, heal tank.
Okay. I might, when this game is $20 on Steam at the end of the year, I'll pick it up.
Yeah.
It sounds great.
Yeah. It seems very, very much like a JRPG until you get into the battle, and then it becomes this intense auto battling scenario.
That's so funny. All right. Helldivers, Ted. The floor is yours.
Okay. So I sent you an article. I believe it was it must have been posted a few Fridays, last Friday. So about a week or so from when you're watching this video.
Right. So March
on
20th. No, that's
Yeah.
not right. Hold on. March. What are we looking at? March 22nd. There it is.
Okay. So part of this article is relating to Helldivers 2, and at this point in Helldivers 2 lifespan, many gamers are getting to end game level. They're getting to the end. You know, they're getting to the toughest difficulty, which I believe is like difficulty 8 or 9.
Wild to comprehend. Yeah.
And so this has mostly been popping off on the Steam forums, and I had heard that the developer of this game, Arrowhead, had like made a public statement about this, but I actually can't find that public statement, so I won't say that. I'm not entirely sure their response to this.
Sure.
But over on the Steam forums and on a few other kind of like Reddit, some other internet forums, there is now a growing surge of hardcore Helldivers 2 people who are trying to establish a meta. I'm not going to read the quotes here because the grammar is not great. There's a lot of like picking and pulling.
Sure.
But it has to do with like, hey, you know, a lot of people on the Steam message boards are saying like, hey, if you're joining group play. If you're joining a rando, you don't have a full team.
Here's what you need to do.
Here is your expected loadouts. Here is your required stratagems. Here are all the things that you need to do to play this game, quote unquote, correctly.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, we will kick you from this match. We will kill you and not respawn you. Like, there are a lot of very aggressive threats against players who are choosing not to play, again, quote, correctly.
Yeah.
And their arguments basically are saying, if you're going to play this game at the hardest difficulty, you need to play it right. And if you're not playing it right, the game is not fun for the rest of us. And as you might imagine, there is on the other side of the aisle, there is a growing group of people who are saying the fun of the game is playing with your friends. And that's the end of the story.
Yeah.
Beating the boss at the hardest difficulty faster is not fun. Is not what makes this game fun. What makes this game fun is the enjoyment of playing together. And again, going back to the other side, they're saying no. Like, if you want to be good at this game, you need to play it right, and because that is what's fun. And so we've kind of hit this weird schism in the community of kind of like what makes Helldivers 2 fun.
Sure.
Which I thought was a very interesting conversation
Really interesting,
to have of what makes it fun.
Yeah. First off, this is why I want to play single player games, because just get out of my games. I don't want people in them,
Yeah.
I love playing Final Fantasy because Barrett's not like, hey, it'd be fun if we were going over here. I'm like, no, you do my mission. It's my game. No, that's really interesting. So like, I think Helldivers is a game where like I wouldn't want to play with randoms, but I'm not the gamer that like hops on my mic ready to go to just like talk to people. I've never been that way. So like for me, Helldivers is like we're hanging out with our friends, and I accidentally throw some, or we were playing the other night, and like I got hit while holding one of my stratagems, and I just went, Hunter, Ted, run. Like it was just like boom, 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 everything was blowing around. Like I killed both you guys, and we all laughed, and like who gives a shit that we all just died?
Right.
That was so funny that like that happens. But I guess there is a point if you're hopping into a random game at the highest difficulty, by
specifically
yourself.
at the high difficulties, which in the direct quotes from the Steam forums, they say difficulty 8 and difficulty 9.
Sure.
Which I'm not entirely sure what that means. I haven't gotten.
No.
Disclaimer, I haven't gotten there yet.
But like I believe challenging, what we played that was like tough, is 5 or 4.
Okay.
So that's a reference. Like there's 4 above what we've done.
Right.
And that's tough. Yeah, I don't know. I also just don't. The whole toxicity gaming thing is just so unfun.
Yeah.
But also maybe don't go play randoms at the highest difficulty if you're not geared to go be serious, because that's not. I don't know. Like that maybe isn't what the random matchmaking's for. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It is weird. It's very interesting to think about like what makes fun, because like to me, what makes Helldivers fun is very much playing with your friends, and that is this combination of like, hey, yes, we are here to win. Obviously, we are here to have to be productive, right? To get the samples, to complete the objectives, and to get out. But also that moment where somebody throws like a grenade and it accidentally sticks on me and I explode. Yeah. To me, that's hilarious.
That's the best part of the game.
Yeah, that's what makes the game fun. Or even just like seeing your friend run one way, charging guns blazing, and then immediately run the other way, and there's a giant bug that just eats him, that just demolishes him. Like, yes, that is technically playing the game inefficiently. That, to me, is what's fun.
Yeah.
But I think we have this situation, and I'll get to a conspiracy theory in a little bit. Okay. But we have this situation where, because there is progression, both personally and there is this kind of game dungeon master system where like
we're fighting against the armies. Yeah.
When you enter a game of Helldivers, you are contributing to like the larger goal of like liberating planets. And so there are people very much in this mindset of like, we need to accomplish these goals. And anything to slow down that goal is improper. And so there are a growing number of community people who are like, we want a fucking challenge and we're not here to fuck around. And so we're kind of getting this schism. Yeah.
And I would argue so I have a few things about what you've said. One, if you're playing at the highest level, the most competitive, blah, 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 don't rely on the game's matchmaking to give you a party of 4 people that are playing at the highest. there's so many different ways to connect with people on video games, to start a squad of 4 guys and girls that jump in at the 9 level difficulty and communicate the whole time. Don't rely on a 3rd, 4th person to fill in your squad to compete at the highest difficulty. I would argue that if you're playing one way, find people that are playing your way. It's your game. It's also the person's game that's jumping in. 2, I think metas in games ruin multiplayer games. It's not fun to have a game be something and then the developer go, ooh, we don't like this thing, then this is a little too strong. Let me change all this, and now the whole game's a little different now. I don't like that flow of like finding what I love. I'm a proponent of like, dude, in Halo 2, the sniper was always the sniper. And I guarantee you, if we were in this game of updating everything, they would have debuffed snipers or rockets or something in Halo 2, and it doesn't make it that game anymore.
Right.
And like for me, the shotgun in Helldivers 2 was too good. And I get it. It was. But it's not fun then just be like, well, the kit you've built, it's irrelevant. We've changed the game. Figure it out. It's like, well, I was having a lot of fun doing what I was doing with the game you made me, and now the fun's not equally there.
I was having a discussion with my roommates who completely agreed of the idea of just like, well, the shotgun is too good, and too many of you are just using it as your go-to every weapon because of its objective, mathematical betterness. So we need to change that. Where it's like, their argument was like, that's not fun.
No, they fundamentally just took a gun and just made it worse in every way.
Yeah, and
it's still good. It's still, I use it in the game, but like you made something that was in your game for a while, and then you're just like, and I get it. That's multiplayer. That's how it works. But like, to me, that loses like some of the fun of what my game is. Like what I'm, we talk about this ownership in games. Like I don't own that. Like that, there's no ownership in what happens there. And
right.
Sure. So I don't know. That's where I come down on it.
Yeah,
a little bit. I'm a big anti-meta guy. I don't like that shit.
Okay. Yeah, I very much believe of like, if you are the kind of person who is currently upset that you are queuing up with people who aren't taking the game seriously enough, you need to go on forums, on internet pages. You need to Discords. Yeah. You need to find groups of people who are into it, because they are there.
You can post on the Helldivers 2 Reddit page going, yo, single person need 3 people that go this level, and these are the stratagems we use because we don't fuck around. And you get 15 people to be like, I'll
right. I think if you are publicly asking the developer to change the game so that people who are just trying to quote have fun with quote silly builds, they're like not allowed to play with you. I think that's not the developer's call. Like you need to silo yourself off and find your own group of ridiculous masochistic hardcore players, and you will have a great time playing with them.
You know what this reminds me of, Ted? When you would play like Halo 3 online, and you'd hop into it, and you'd be like, you and your friends, it's like midnight, you're drinking some Mountain Dew, and you're like, let's hop into big team battle, because fuck it, we're just hanging out now, like it no longer matters. We don't have to try to win games anymore. And you hop into big team battle, and it's just anarchy. You're driving elephants around on Sandtrap, and then there's like the one guy on your squad, and he's got 22 kills. And he's like serious as shit. And he's like hopping in the mic. He's like, yo guys, like, hey, can you stop fucking around the Warthog? Cause like we gotta try to win this game. It's like, no, we're in big team battle. We're in Helldivers 2. A game where that starts with like, super Earth. And don't take it so seriously. Enjoy the game for what it is.
Right. I think one might argue there's a growing problem of people who don't see the satire of Helldivers. Well. Which is also hilarious. Starship Troopers have the same problem.
I know.
No, I will bring up. So I was listening to some ex-Vice Gaming Waypoint people.
Okay.
That company recently went belly up. They're called Remap. I actually really like their podcast. Oh. Good website. Go check them out. They brought up a conspiracy theory that I thought was hilarious, and I felt needed to be shared here on this podcast. Helldivers 2 comes out in February of 2024. Massive success, co-op shooting game with this general idea of like we have an overarching enemy to beat.
Yep.
Great concept. At around the same time, in the beginning of 2024, we have the Decay of Destiny. Okay? We have a Call of Duty with not a very good zombies mode. Apparently, there is a very steadfast Call of Duty zombies community. Oh. Who play that game seriously and competitively with like a meta and with like rules and this whole thing.
Sure.
But those people have recently shown discontent.
Because let's ruin Nazi zombies too. Let's get so serious about Nazi zombies.
I know. The concept is insane to me.
It's so dumb.
But like, this has been a not a good year for Call of Duty Zombies fans.
Yeah.
And so their conspiracy theory was that, the death of all of these random co-op shooters, plus the announcement of Helldivers 2 meant, 3 or 4 different toxic communities all just kind of came into Helldivers.
Oh, interesting.
And those people, like Destiny players, have now gotten to Endgame and are treating it like Destiny, where it's like, hey, like we have an overarching objective here, and we need to beat it. Like, this is what we do.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating because Arrowhead, the developer, has been very open about saying like we don't want that. We were never trying to be this, kind of end game, live service type game. Obviously they have like a live service.
Yeah, but I think you can tell that by playing Helldivers that it's not the game that people are trying to make it. I think like you can just see it. And I can tell you the reason why. Because Ted, I can play one Helldivers game.
Yeah.
And at the end of the week, if we win our objective, I log back on and it gives me 50 medals going, we won the war. It doesn't care really. It's just about you participating.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more about participation than like your specific skill level.
Yeah, like if we won the war, I fought one bug. I shouldn't get any medals.
Yeah.
But it's like, here's 50, spend them, have fun.
Yeah.
Because it's really about you having fun and playing this more. It shouldn't be about us, like, at the end of the day, beating Joel the bug maker, who, isn't that his name, Joel?
Yeah, Joel's the game master.
I was right, yeah. I'm going to call him the bug maker, okay? Sounds more sexual.
Okay.
I don't know. I think, like, the toxicity in gaming is so bizarre to me.
Yeah.
I've never really understood this, but that's how I feel with Helldivers especially. It's like the game is, like, making fun of that toxicity in a way.
Yeah.
And now it's that. And it's like, but that's what the game is making fun of.
Right.
And now you're doing it in the game.
Yeah. And I can understand the concept of like, hey, I'm trying to win or I'm trying to get to end game. But like, it doesn't take long of playing Helldivers 2 to feel like this is not quite what they're going for.
Yeah.
Like, you're not supposed to get to the end of the tier tree. And then you're like, and then go like, okay, now I can finally play the game. I've unlocked the mech warrior. Now I can finally play the game. Like, that's not what this game is. But many people want it to be and are asking Arrowhead to please, make it tougher, make it more strict. And it's interesting. It's interesting to see this community, both of casuals and of hardcores, kind of wrestle with each other.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of these games kind of live or die. And then I think their Helldivers might be at that point of like, what audience do we cater to and who's going to stick around? And I'd be curious about that.
Well, I mean, I stand by the, if you talk about fighting games, which is a totally different genre, but fighting games have always suffered from this problem ever since really the internet got involved in video games, where, fighting game comes out and everyone's playing it, and there's a good range of like newbies, intermediates, good players.
Yep.
But like over time, the newbies fall away, the intermediates fall away, and all you're left with is the hardcore players, which then can't sustain the game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if a new player later on the line tries to come in, they're like,
this isn't fun. I'm just getting my ass kicked.
Yeah. You click search for online match, you get matched up with the only people left who are hardcore players.
Yeah.
They kick the shit out of you. You go 0-5 and put it down, going, I'm not good at this.
And they're all playing the same 3 to 5 characters.
Yeah.
Because that's how it works in these fighting games. So
yeah, and so at some point, if you cater to the hardcore, the tier gets so high and higher and higher that the game ends up kind of killing itself.
Well, and I think that's the weird part with that is like the beauty for me, and I think of all of us about Helldivers, is the casual nature of like, it's for me right now, it's the perfect drop in, drop out co-op game.
Yeah.
Like I have like PTSD flashbacks, not really, but of us trying to play Warzone in like 2021 and be like, we got a party of 4. Let's fucking go. Let's go play Warzone. And we hop on and only it's Warzone trios. Yeah. And you're like, well, do we kick somebody out? Like, what do we do?
Yeah.
Or vice versa. Oh, well, it's just 3 of us. Like, we could finally play Warzone trios. It's only Warzone quads. And you're like, great. Okay, let's just coin flip it next time. Where I think like what's so cool about Helldivers is like having someone like tonight go, I can't play during game night. That's fine. We can still play 3 people. Like it doesn't change
It
the plan.
doesn't matter.
Doesn't mean that that person's going to miss out on something that we've done.
Right.
Like none of that changes. And that to me is like one of the perfect game designs of like, here's how we make a great online forever game.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope they don't cater to a hardcore audience. I doubt they will.
I don't think they will either. They seem pretty fed up with a lot of the toxicity.
Yeah.
And they have been responding pretty firmly about a lot of this stuff. You know, they made a very early like statement of like, we are never adding PvP to this game.
Yes.
That's not who we want playing this game.
Yeah.
Like this is a fun co-op romp.
I'm gonna show you some PvP tonight, Ted. Get ready.
I'll see it.
Yeah.
I'm there for it.
No, I think that's super cool. I think I trust Arrowhead right now. They know what they have on their hands, and I don't think they're trying their best not to fumble it. And I also think they're getting the backing of Sony, which I think does help them financially not have to waver in their plan. And I think that's really key to this game as well, is not having to chase the money. So I'm excited about that. So I don't know.
I am too. I hope that they continue to add to this game without catering to this idea that like if you're a casual player or you're a new player, you are somehow behind.
Yeah.
Obviously, they've done a really good job so far, but this game's only a little less than 2 months old.
Yep.
Like I don't want to get to a point where like, oh, you should play Helldivers, but you can't play with us. Play by yourself for a while, gear up, and then you can play with us.
Yeah, get
like
caught up to speed, and then we'll get you in this thing. Yeah.
That is not what Helldivers is to me. I don't think it is.
I don't think that's what the game is. I think that's the antithesis to what they've developed.
Right, exactly.
The fact that right away we can hop on ships, I think, changes a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that if you are out there right now upset at Arrowhead and the game for not catering to that, you might want to go look elsewhere. That Destiny 2 expansion's coming out. They got you.
Ted, are you done on the Helldivers conversation? I want to transition to something really quick.
Yeah.
All right,
I've said my piece.
Goodbye. I got 2 things for you. One, I want to talk about Destiny because we do predictions every year. And your great prediction this year was that Destiny 2's story will not end canonically. That there will just be no ending. That Destiny 2 will just end.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So the latest expansion that is coming out is the last expansion, right?
The Final Shape.
That's what it's called, right?
It's called The Final Shape.
So apparently the Final Shape will not end the story. Okay? And that
how do we know this? Is this
they've like discussed this, Bungie.
Okay, sure.
Because like things are not good at Bungie. Like Bungie's in a really weird state. We'll have another podcast on it. But they are apparently having like little mini downloadable episodes that will end the story of Destiny.
Like after the Final Shape?
Yeah, like after the Final Shape, they're gonna have like little DLC patches that come into like end the story. So we'll see. But by the end of this, if they don't have a canonical ending, I love that. What a great prediction.
Yeah.
Before we go, I wanted to tell you something about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm like 40 something hours in. It's a beautiful game. I'm doing crazy things. I'm doing chocobo races. I'm just doing all these mini games left and right. I'm hunting materia, doing all this stuff. But Ted, like The Witcher, there is a card game within Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Yeah, it's called like Blood something, right?
Queen's Blood.
Queen's Blood, that's it.
Queen's Blood is
and I've heard Queen's Blood is very good.
Phenomenal. Yeah. It is a grid-based three rows grid-based game where you basically play cards that add like pawns to the spaces in front of them, and that's where you can play new cards. So it's all also like a positioning race, or like a game of like trying to strategically get your opponent to bait into you taking another one of their pawns. Mm-hmm. It's awesome. Can't recommend Queen's Blood enough. So much so that I'm not done with the game. I am done with the Queen's Blood storyline in Final Fantasy VII.
I was going to say, did you do the tournament? I know there's a tournament.
I did the tournament. Yeah. Oh, I did the tournament 40 hours ago.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, this game is so big, Ted. I don't think it's going to be like 75 hours. It's going to be so much game.
Mm-hmm.
But what I think is so funny is this game, Ted, goes like Yu-Gi-Oh status. That the cards are alive that there is a mystical element about the cards, and you have to save the world from the one bad evil queen card. And it is awesome.
So they tinged it with a hint of Yu-Gi-Oh for you.
Oh, yeah.
You're into it.
Oh, it's awesome. It was great. And like the ending of it was fantastic. It was like so like Shadow Realm kind of shit, and like cards are trapping Cloud. They're throwing cards and they go to like people's necks. It's so sick. It's so sick.
I'm deeply ashamed of myself for saying that has piqued my interest more than anything else, is that there is a card game in this game where there are serious stakes to the card game.
Dude, they're so serious. The whole world's in danger.
Yugi's uncle was taken to the Shadow Realm.
Dude,
okay, he has to fight to get him back. He has to win.
Like episode 1.
And he'll do it with the heart of the cards.
The heart of the cards. And Mokuba, Kaiba's younger brother, was taken as well. Never forget about Mokuba.
Like I said, I'm very ashamed of myself for being into that, but
I love it. Yeah, I'm a sucker for Yu-Gi-Oh! And Shadow Realm shit and Heart of the Cards and trusting the cards and it's great. It's great. I can't wait to just tell you everything about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth one day, but that's not today.
One day when James comes back.
And then beats the game after 70 hours. It's so big. Our Final Fantasy VII Rebirth review is going to be in November. That's going to be awesome.
Fair enough.
Well, thank you so much for watching the 144th episode of the Sidescape Gaming Podcast. My name is Jake. That's Ted. And we will see you next week. Probably with James. Probably.
Hopefully. Are we still going to do his little vacation episode? I hope so.
Yeah, he has to do a presentation on his trip. Of course. Of course.
Sweet.
He did send me a wonderful picture. I texted him. I was like, yo, you find any good merch? And he was like, got something I think I'm going to buy for you. And it was a picture of a life-size Solid Snake, like, stuffed animal. And it was just like sitting down. It was like, and like you could see for reference, like this thing is like 6 to 7 feet tall.
Yeah. Oh my God. I know. I'm a little bit nervous.
Yeah, I know. I'm curious.
Because when I went to Japan, like as a 13-year-old, the best thing in the world was like going into the Akihabara like game shops.
Yeah.
And it's just like they like to the untrained eye, they're like junk shops. But if you know what you're looking for, you're like, oh my God, that's just a stack of SNESs all the way to the ceiling. And I was telling James about it. I was like, oh, there's so much cool stuff you might be able to find. And he was texting me randomly at like random times a day because of the time.
Well, time change, yeah.
He was just like, so you were interested in getting a Famicom? And I was like the actual original Famicom? He's like, yeah, I see one right here. I was like, yeah.
I'm hoping for some cool shit. I'm like, give me some cool like Zelda cloud shit. I'm cool.
I hope he comes back with an arcade machine.
Oh my God, it'd be amazing.
Like the actual Sega arcade machine.
Yeah, I would love that.
He can fit it on the plane.
Yeah, get a Tetris machine. Yeah. Come on. All right, boys. We're out of here. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much.
Okay. Play ball.
Play ball. Oh, yeah. Yankees going to win the World Series.